welcome. I hope everyone is feeling well. And just in case this is the first lesson that you've seen, there is a thread to the way that I'm preparing these episodes. So if you're new to my channel, I highly recommend go back to the first episode and work your way through because there is a method to my madness, and I'm teaching you in a way that I know is how you need to learn. They're the right steps in the right places, if you like. Saves you going all the way around the world, learning everything upside down, and then not getting the uplift that you need. So, my name, for those that don't know me, is Charlie Gregg. I am the spiritual teacher at Who Am I, and I'm here to help you find authentic happiness. So, this week we are going to be talking about living in the moment. Now, this lesson is probably the biggest one, most important. It saved my life. There is a book that I would highly recommend for this lesson, which is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And if Eckhart ever sees this, thank you so much. It just completely changed my life. It made me realize that I had missed something that was available to us all. So, when you are in the past, you are in depression, and when you are in the future, you're in anxiety. Uh, it kind of makes sense when you hear it like this. So, all the things that you're beating yourself up about. I wish I'd never done that. Oh, if I hadn't gone there, this wouldn't have happened. If I hadn't been born into that family, this wouldn't have happened. Or don't have a job, and how am I going to exist? And can't pay my rent. I haven't got any money. They're all things about anxiety for the future. So the Buddhists describe this as the middle way, and this is kind of connected to last week's lesson, which about finding the bridge 6 and 7. So when you are in balance and you're on this place where the mind is quiet, you kind of find this magical place that you didn't know existed. And how you kind of work when I'm teaching my private clients, we go to the park for this lesson. Because being in nature, you're tying yourself to Gaia, there's no ego, you're with the elements, and you're more in flow. So, living in the moment is about igniting all of your senses, your hearing, your touch, your smell, your sight, your taste, and you are bringing yourself into that moment, whereby normally you'd be walking through the park on your mobile phone gossiping about somebody else or being judgmental. You're out of balance. The mind is the dominant force. So with all the work that we did last week on the mind, getting yourself to this bridge will really help with this step. So I would highly recommend reading the book because I can't articulate it in a short lesson. But an exercise that I would highly recommend is to go to somewhere green, go to your park or the garden. It's easier in summer because there's better smells, but there's still kind of leaves and must and things now because we're recording these in November. And just bring yourself to center, get yourself nice and powerful on the bridge, and allow yourself to ignite all of your senses. And then gently, with your head off the floor, there's never anything good to look at on the ground unless you lost something. And when you look at the mind takes over and gets busy. Try and keep your head up so that you're seeing the birds and the clouds and the sunsets and all of the things that are worth looking at, and allow yourself to meander through the park, noticing everything at the same time. So the wind on your face, the temperature, the smells, what you can see, what you can taste. Smell gives you a feeling of taste. How are you feeling? And be very vigilant. You have to really concentrate to do this until you get used to it. You will notice that you will suddenly see this world that you've never experienced before. It's kind of like going from a black and white world to a colour, technicolor world. And what you'll notice is that your heart will explode with joy. You might even have a tear or two of joy. And it's an experience that you won't have had before. And once you've felt this, it's like it's an eureka moment. It changes your life completely. You're going to start noticing the beautiful bark on the tree, how amazing the animals are, and how they're beginning to get connected to your energy, because we all have an energy field around us. We are connected to everything. We've got the crystalline grid under our feet. We are connected to Gaia. The Akashic records are there. Well, the Merkaba is your 8-meter energy field around your body. And then you're bringing in all of these senses. So it's almost like igniting yourself. And as you do this, you'll feel it in your heart center. So practice this step uh, with great passion and keep doing it. I mean, you should be able to feel this on the first time you do it if you're really dedicated. But every time you're in nature, don't just go and put your hands in your pockets and wander around the park moaning, letting the mind do its thing, telling you rubbish things. Really take power over yourself again and really step into that moment. This step is absolutely life changing, and you will never look at life again the same way. As you become more spiritual, you'll notice that your senses will start enhancing. You will have better hearing. Your sense of smell will develop. You will see things that you've never seen before. You'll be very noticeable of temperature and wind and things all around you. You know, you'll notice that you can hear sounds that you've never heard before that are in the field beyond the field, and that you are smelling 6 or 7 different scents, you know, from maybe a bonfire in a field over there, and the mulch of the leaves and the trees. It's like nature starts speaking to you and you become connected to everything. It's the most beautiful, beautiful step. So really practice this week. I forgot to mention a book for on the last episode, which is something that I also highly recommend, which is Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Suzanne Jeffers. And that kind of brings me into the importance of what you articulate. If you are wandering around gossiping and moaning about life and allowing the mind to become your dominant force. I mean, this is insanity. And you will notice that people who are insane, and I say that with love, they're looking at the floor, their mind has become the dominant force, their mouth is moving to correspond with what the mind is. They're completely disconnected from this present moment. So be careful what you're talking about. Everything carries vibration. If you are saying, I can't, it's floppy. You're back to 22, you're back in the mind. Like the affirmations, I can, I will, I do. Bring everything back into power. And Suzanne Jeffers explains this very well in Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. It's a great book. You might even have it on your bookshelf, or your parents might. It's been out forever. It's really worth reading. The more you can digest, the more you can read, the more you can do. And I know that if you're practicing the steps that I'm teaching you, it's a lot every week. But this is kind of how I teach. It's like you master these steps, and then you have another lot of steps, and then another lot of steps. But you're actually using all of them. So you can see how much you're growing and how strong you're getting. You're becoming like rock solid in the middle. And they get easier. They just become habits, new habits in the end. And absolutely, these first few lessons are absolutely life changing. You really need to master them if you want to become a spiritual well, you're already a spiritual being, but you want to become spiritually enlightened, and you want to come out of your head and have better mental well-being. They are all absolutely vital. So food groups as well, we discussed a little bit last week. Now, you have to listen to your body. There are many experts, some not quite so expert as others, that all tell you that you've got to do this and you've got to do this. Everyone's body's different. We are all unique. Now, as I said, the heart chakra starts speaking to you and your intuition starts speaking to you. It's the same with food. If you're talking to your body and you're trying to bring yourself into your innate and your smart body, and you're speaking to yourself, please, please encourage me through cravings of what is best for me. Now, it's quite strange, this. Now, if you believe in reincarnation, my last previous life to this one, I was a soldier in the Japanese army in Japan, and I lived a life of squalor. And it's really weird because since I've been doing this work with innate, I've been asking my body to tell me what suits my body better. I am a vegetarian. I eat a little fish. I don't drink. I don't take drugs. That all of those things are things that crutches and habits. So if you are doing those, then please be vigilant. And my desire for rice and salmon has become really prevalent, and it's really weird. And I wonder whether this has got something to do with familiarity from a previous lifetime. I just thought it was quite fascinating. I used to eat a lot of meat. The idea of it rotting in your stomach for months on end, for me, doesn't work. But do what you think is right for you. Listen to your body. Water is really important as well. We are 75, 78% water beings, which is why we get so affected by the moon with the tides and everything. Make sure that your water is not tap water if possible, because it's full of so much calcium, which affects your third eye. You can also put crystals, quartz crystal, in your water and shake it. Plastic bottles, be careful, try and use recyclable containers, but it activates the water. You can imagine it's kind of like making the protons vibrate. So when you're ingesting that, you can feel that it would be better for your body. And stay away from all the junk food that is so bad for you. If you're doing all this beautiful work to bring yourself more into power and to become this spiritual being of light, then what you're ingesting is so important. Now, might be good here to talk about medication. Half the world, maybe more, is on antidepressants. Now, I'm a teacher, I'm not a doctor. So I'm only just putting this out there. If you want to change your medication, please speak to your general practitioner. But in my experience with the clients that I've been working on, I've actually never taken antidepressants. I was so depressed I didn't even want to go and speak to a doctor. That's how bad it was. But they all cut down with medical supervision, and by the end of working with me, they all got off it. The problem with medication is it just makes you a zombie. And if you are trying to discover who you are, it's so important to be bright, to be alert, to be aware, and not be asleep. Um, it just kind of forces you back. It doesn't make you feel good. It's not good for the body. It's not good for polluting the planet through excretion that goes directly into our water sources and into our food, which is polluting everyone. So when you start feeling a little bit better and a bit stronger, and you would like to make a change in your medication from antidepressants, you're strong enough to do it, but go and get some advice. And what clients normally do is every other day, they cut it down and then they go to half, and they do it very gradually. Don't shock your system. This work does take time, and I'm sure if you've done the first few lessons with me, you're already feeling better, which is amazing. But be gentle on yourself. Now, this week we should really talk about gratitude. It's so important. Now, it's not just that it's important for the world that we are grateful beings, which of course we should be, but gratitude helps you come out of the head. You can't be grateful and sad, angry, jealous, hateful. You can't be those two places at the same time. So let's just try that. Just close your eyes for a second. Take a nice deep breath. Get yourself rock solid on the bridge. And just think about something very simple that you're grateful for. And could be just a roof over your head, food in your belly, a beautiful family, a husband who loves you, whatever it is. And if you haven't got any of those, drop it down a level. We all have something to be grateful for. And just repeat to yourself quietly, I'm so grateful for whatever it is. And my heart's jumping again. And just feel that you've come out of the head. So being grateful is also going to be a fantastic tool to help you train yourself to come to the heart center. And compassion is so important as well. Now, most of humanity are beginning to, but in the past haven't been very kind to each other. It's just become the norm, really. And we have this inherently within us. You know that when you look at a baby, you become all cooey, and with animals your heart melts. So we know how to be compassionate, but we just feel so separated from one another. We are all the same energy. We're just here in different expressions. And something that I found really useful at the beginning was that while I was going out and having my lovely walks, I would imagine that all the people that I passed were pure energy. So I saw through the body and just imagined that they were light beings. So this takes away judgment. Judgment is a big one, but again, it's all to do with the head. So maybe practice that, which would be a really good step for you. So, yes, I hope all those tips have helped you this week. I hope that you are doing your meditation, that your affirmations are still going, that wouldn't it be wonderful if you're keeping yourself to your right hand towards enlightenment. When I started, I actually wrote number 1 on my right hand and 22 on my left hand. So I kept seeing it all the time. Having screensavers on your phone as well really helps, because we look at our phones so often. So it may be, if you're forgetting to do some of these steps, just make a screensaver, a meme that you can put on your phone to remind you, or it could be your affirmation, or it could be that you're telling yourself that you love yourself, something that you're going to see all the time. And try and spend as much time in nature as possible, because the elements that are in nature are free from ego. There is no negativity in the energy, which is why we feel so connected. Um, and it teaches us a lot. If you just, for example, you look at a tree. I've learned I love trees. I don't go and hug them, but I absolutely love trees. Um, if you look at a tree, it doesn't boldly stand there and say, I'm not going to recycle carbon dioxide to oxygen today because I don't feel like it. It's compassionate, it's working with humanity. Everything is connected to each other, and that's how we have to be with everything else. It's kind of like allowing yourself to feel this connection to everything, and with our beautiful animals, and the weather and clouds and others, just really opening up this heart chakra and finding that compassion that you have when you look at a puppy or a baby, and try and make that part of who you are. So, just on the last point for this lesson, let's talk about pandemic babies. I've seen on TikTok and stuff some information, and there's a bit more behind it. So, this is a bit higher learning, but just to finish on today, just because it reminded me talking about babies. So, on the very first lesson, which if you haven't done, go back, it's amazing. Um, the the babies that are being born post 2000 are coming in with their DNA upgraded. They are already more connected to innate, to their smart body, to Gaia, to the Akashic records. They are more intelligent beings. And the indigos that came before those are already upgraded, but the crystalline babies are amazing, and they are our future. They are bringing in this incredible energy and skills and intelligence to the planet to help evolve humanity. And they're sitting up at a couple of weeks old, and they're beginning to tell their parents who they are and what previous lifetimes they've had. These are geniuses. They already know how to read. So if you need some evidence, because you might not believe all this stuff yet, keep an eye on these crystal babies that are being born. And if you're a mum of a new child, keep an eye. If you've had other children, look at their development. It's incredible, and we're going to be seeing more and more and more of this. And I guess one last thing, just while I remember, doing all this spiritual work in this lifetime is amazing, because as we come through the veil of forgetfulness, we forget all of our previous lives so that it doesn't impede our experience. But any spiritual work that we do in this lifetime, because we're in a new energy, we've moved into another part of space, and it's more benevolent, it's different, the energy is different. when we depart this lifetime, whenever that may be, we remember all of the work that we have already done. So we will come in knowing, so it's well worth it. Not only is it going to change this lifetime for you and help humanity raise, but when we reincarnate in the future, we're going to remember it's a gift that we bring in with us, and we start from that point, which is amazing because in all previous lifetimes we've had to come back and keep remembering and redoing and redoing and redoing. So I hope that was a fascinating lesson, and please subscribe and share and help me get this knowledge out so that we can move faster through our ascension. And if you need to contact me or you would like to work with me, I'm still at the moment doing one-to-ones. Eventually I will stop and I can do these on Zoom or in person. Whatever you need, I'm always here. Drop a comment, and if you have specific questions, just write them in the comments and I'll keep a note of them and I will answer them as we go into following lessons to help you, rather than doing lots of work. I'm so busy answering everything on the comments. So just I will see them and I will bring them up in the future. So become a regular subscriber and hit that bell so you know when I'm doing new lessons. So yes, I think that's it for today. So have a wonderful day and keep all those layers going. And, please let me know if you're feeling better. It's always nice to get feedback from my beautiful students. And I love you very much. And I look forward to seeing you in a following episode. So until then, love and light.